Hi, it's David again. Sir David, King David, Asshat David, whatever you want to call me. I don't care. I wanted to do a video. Most of you don't know, I love to fly. No, not on drugs. Well, I tried marijuana once in my whole life, and I liked it. It was cool, but it's against the law, and I was a Mormon, and I wasn't allowed to have fun, so I didn't do it anymore, and it just hasn't crossed my mind since. Most of you don't know, and I have never said anything about flying. I enjoy flying, I really do, and I'm going to show you. Here is my controller, and I have the Microsoft program as a stimulator. No, the stimulators were over at DI. This is a simulator. You want to be stimulated, go over to DI and buy yourself a vibrator. The Mormons know what to sell and how to make a profit, don't they? Well, anyway, I fly from day to day, and I can fly any airplane on my chart. I mean, there's hundreds of airplanes, and I can fly anywhere in the world, and it does have all the trees and the buildings and the roads in Africa, South America, Hawaii, whatever. Now, I want to compare this to my experience in the Mormon church, because when I first started to fly, it was bitchin'. It was really fun, and it wasn't that hard to take off. I mean, it's like a baptism. It's not hard to get in the water and get dunked and go, hey, I'm saved. By works, not by faith. Anyway, you religious people can argue that. And I loved it. I flew over Paris and the Eiffel Tower, and I flew water landing planes in Africa, and gosh, helicopters, hang gliders. I flew everything, and it was bitchin'. It was fun. And I did it for hours and hours. And it's like the Mormon church. When you first join, gosh, there's potlucks, and there's scouting, and there's young women's activity and girls camp, and there's just all kinds of fun things to do in the Mormon church, and they're fun people, and they pat you on the back and they love bomb you. Well, I decided one day on my program there, on my simulator, to take a lesson. Now, bipolar people, that's a great fault with us. We think we can do anything at any time, any place. And that's why I'm locked in a closet on very heavy medications. So anyway, I thought I could ski, snow ski. So I can get on that chairlift to get up, aim myself down the hill, and go. Well, you can, but you can't stop. That's a big part of skiing. I didn't know that. I just thought, well, you just go, and I never thought about it. How do you stop? Well, after ass over end, skis hitting me in the head, and walking down the damn hill, I came to the conclusion skiing was not my sport, and I'll be damned if I'll take a lesson. So I decided to take a lesson in my simulator on flying. And so it was a cute little lesson and everything, and I take off, no problems, and I get up in the air, and climbing up over the terrain, and pretty soon the engine shuts off. Now the instructor said to me, "What's going on? Did you turn the engine off?" And I'm yelling at the screen, "Hell no, do I look like I want the engine off? Turn it back on. I'm in the mountains. I'm gonna die." And the instructor goes, "You may want to find a landing spot." And I said back to the screen, "Geez, I can't land, and I can't see a spot for 1,000 miles. I'm gonna land in a tree." He says, "Well, I think there was a field behind you, and there's one ahead of you if you think you can make it." Well, I have GPS on the, and I figured that out, So I pull up my GPS satellite positioning, and I could see both airports. One was over the mountain, and one was back. Well, bipolar people, we like over the mountain, not going back. So I'm doing everything, full flaps, spitting out the window, peeing out in cups, getting the weight of the plane lighter and lighter so I can get over the mountain. Well, I made it over the mountain, and you know, it's a dead, what they call dead stick. There's no engine. You're just going to come in, and if you make a mistake, there's no go around. You just go down. You don't go around with no engine. So I came in and I did my S-turns and the whole thing, and then I got the speed down and everything, and I got close to the airport, and I landed. Not on the field. It was like 10,000 yards from the field in a dirt patch of ground. So hey, the new caribou saved your life. The pilot teacher comes on and he says, well, that wasn't a very good landing, and next time you really ought to try an airport. Just beat the screen after you asked. It was a good landing. I walked away from it. Well, my point is this. When you join the Mormon church, it can be fun at the beginning. We used to have dance festivals. They don't have that anymore. They're out of money. We used to have road shows. They're out of money. We don't have that anymore. Scouting, we could go anywhere. Now, you know, you go in your backyard and throw bows and arrows at the target. So when I was young in the Mormon church, well, it wasn't that young, it can be fun. It's very similar to flying. Now, here's what I've learned in my short lifetime. Taking the plane off the ground ain't bad. It ain't, if you can keep it straight down the runway. And in the beginning, I had some trouble that way. But if it came off the ground eventually, I didn't care, as long as it wasn't running into a building. So you could be a general pilot. Well, after you get up to airspeed, you just pull back on the stick, and I'll be damned, the thing goes into the air, and you're amazed. It just goes into the air. Now, that's the fun part. Here is the unfun part. You have to land sometime. You can't fly forever. Even on a simulator, you'll run out of gas, or you'll have to run to the bathroom. I put it on automatic pilot when I do that, and then I find out, you know, I'm in Saudi Arabia somewhere when I get back. But anyway, I have to land. Well, I started with little planes, and I started crashing them. It's kind of like when you're 35 or 45 in the Mormon church, and your kids are not growing up the way the Mormons think they should grow up, and suddenly garments just are not that sexy anymore, and pretty soon you're starting to have some questions. Well, when I'm flying, I see a lot of buttons up on the dash there, and I can see why they call it a cockpit. No woman belongs in there. There's way too many buttons. And so I never took a lesson. I've never taken a lesson, and I have seldom landed. So, you know, my kids, they'll come in, and when I was first learning, they'd stand there, and she was 9 then, my 9-year-old Allison, you know, the plane would come in and go end over end, burst into flames with little running, burning people on the runway. And Allison would look at me and she'd go, Dad, I ain't flying with you. I go, no, come on, get on. This is fun. No. I mean, at 9 years old, she goes, no. So the Mormon church is the same way. Pretty soon, you realize that it can't answer your questions. Suddenly, all the general authorities and their general questions, you're getting into a position where you want some specific answers to specific questions. So I thought, well, and this is what Mormons do. This is what I did when I was a Mormon. I said, well, that damn Cessna's too small. The wind blows it over all the time. So I said, well, I'll get me a 747 or an Airbus. I can fly the Airbus. Not very far, but I can fly it. And I always fantasize, I'll be flying to the Philippines, and the stewards will come out. The pilot has died. Is there anyone here that can fly this plane? And hey, you know, give me a chance. I've never landed, but I can keep it in the air till it runs out of gas. So you get a little more questioning in the Mormon church, and you want some answers, and you try to change some things. You may change your attitude. You may not go to sacrament, or you quit going to wearing your garments or priesthood, and you start to go on vacation on Sunday and seeing if God and lightning will hit you. Well, I decided, well, I'm gonna fly the big boys. And so the 747 is the funnest plane in the world to fly, and I land in Sarajevo in the Philippines. Now, the reason I fly in the Philippines is everything is at sea level. You don't have to think about mountains, because mountains and me don't mix very well. So anyway, in Sarajevo, they have a fairly short airstrip, and I decided, being bipolar, that I could take off. And there's a mountain right at the end of the airstrip, and a mountain right at the back, and the ocean is off to the left. So I get the old 747 revved up. I come on the speaker and I say, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you were on to fly to a general conference in Salt Lake City, and you've certainly chosen the best Ponzi airline in the world. We're going to get you to Salt Lake City, dead or alive. Now, under your seat, there's a life jacket. So if the need comes up, which it will, put that damn thing on now. And the people in the back are panicking, because when you're a Mormon and there's no answers to questions, and you know you're going in, you put the life jacket on. So anyway, I backed the plane up onto the grass to give me an extra 10 or 15 feet to see if I could get it airborne. And then I held the brake, and I gave it full throttle, and I watched all the thrusters come up into the 90, 102, 110 dangerous category. So when I let go of that brake, it should shoot like a rocket. Well, let me tell you something. The 747 never shoots like a rocket. And it's kind of like bearing your testimony in the Mormon church. After you're done, you sit down, and you think you're going to feel good, and then you start to say, what the hell did I say or do? So anyway, I let go of the brake, and of course the kids and the people in the back are screaming their eyes out because they know they're going in. I'm cool. I say, I think it's going to go have full flaps, and I'm coming down to the end of the runway, and I think a 747 flies at about 150 miles an hour, or 150 knots. And so I'm up to 78 at the end of the runway with a mountain facing me. Now, this is Mormonism. This is how I felt as a Mormon, that it ain't gonna fly. Numbers don't lie. When you don't tell me where my tithing went, and when you don't tell me how much money you're taking out to support yourselves, because you guys don't have jobs, I'm looking at that speed gauge and going, holy shit, we're going in. Well, I promised these people that they're going to get to Salt Lake dead or alive. I prefer to do it alive. And so I run off the runway to the left towards the ocean. Now the people, they're opening the emergency doors. These are the people that are resigning, like me. They haven't done anything wrong, but they go, this ain't going to fly. I'm out. I don't even want my name on this one. So they're holding the doors open, and people are jumping out on the slide. And that slows me down when the damn slide drags on the beach. Well, I flew the damn thing down the beach. And all the natives were running for their damn lives, people jumping out of the plane, everybody had life jackets on, and at least we weren't on fire. Yet! I flew down the beach far enough and fast enough that the damn thing did climb into the air. And you got to put the wheels up real quick because, you know, it's a drag on the plane, and you got to get your flaps off as quick as you can. So anyway, I got up, and there were people like Noah's boat hanging on the side going, he did it, he did it, he did it. Well, they thought the worst was over. They'd never seen a landing, because I'm a general pilot. I'm not a general authority. I'm a general pilot. So I lined that 747 up on another runway to come in. And I can approach the runway pretty cool. I got an eye for it now. One eye. It's kind of like a pirate. I got kind of one eye on the runway and one eye on the instruments, and neither are matching up. So I just turn the automatic pilot off, and the altitude and the speed. I can take it. I'm Joseph Smith. I'm going to Carthage like a lamb to the slaughter. Well, that was a true statement. So when I come into an airport, many times I don't hit the runway. most of the time the runway hits me. Now, when I land, it's again kind of like you get a priesthood ordination and you go, whoo, whoo, I'm an elder, whoo, I'm a high priest, whoo, I have the second anointing. I'm in. I'm on the ground. Well, there's another thing that happens on the ground, and that is you got to stop. 747, and it's kind of like a mile and a half for that plane to stop. Well, when you're on a quarter-mile runway, pretty soon the general pilot begins to go, shit, we're not going to stop. Look at all those buildings, and look at all those trees. And so you decide, well, stomp on the brakes, do whatever you can do, put your foot out the window, whatever you can do to slow that damn thing down. And that's pretty much the Mormon church. I did everything. I did everything a reasonable man would do. Well, the Mormon church plane hit the trees, hit the building, caught on fire. And when I read 14-Year-Old Wives and the Mountain Meadows and Brigham Young and his wives and becoming a god, and oh my God, it just goes on and on. When I read that, I mean, it was a bad landing. It really was. And I said, I'm resigning. So, you know, they pulled everybody out of the plane that was dead. I was still in there going, what the hell? And I like the Mormon church. What the hell? What the hell? And so anyway, I've learned now that I don't need the Mormon church to tell me what underwear to wear, what to eat, the word of wisdom. I'm more mature than that. I don't need that. My standards are much higher than the Mormon church. So anyway, that's my flying story, and I do love to fly, and there's all kinds of fun things that I've learned about flying, and maybe a little bit about spirituality, and that is this: don't get on a plane that's flown by an idiot called a prophet, never had a job, ran beneficial life insurance company into bankruptcy, put electrodes on penises for homosexuals at BYU. Monson is an idiot. He's an idiot. He's never had a real job. He didn't go on a mission. He's telling all your kids to go on a mission. He didn't want to get fungus, crotch bite, hemorrhoids. Don't get on a damn spiritual airplane that the pilot doesn't know shit. He's never flown that specific plane. And I'm telling you, every one of them is different. Life changes all the time. And if you're really good, I'm pretty good at flying the Learjet. That one's the one I actually can land. But every time I change planes to a 740 or 767 Airbus, to a plane that lands in the water, they're all different. They all approach at different speeds, and they all handle very differently close to the ground. And they all fly at different altitudes. So if you're going to jump on a religious plane, for God's sakes, check the people out in charge. Now, if the pilot, like me, goes down the aisle and wants your money before you land, why would that be? And when you say, pilot, I have to pay this $200, what are you going to do with it? Hey, that's sacred. The pilots union has told me that's not secret. That's sacred. You don't know. You want to fly? Give me your money. Well, when you get on that kind of a spiritual airplane, with me flying it, you better wrap your life jacket around your neck and your neighbor's life jacket around your ass, because that plane's going to go in. I'm not that experienced. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I haven't learned to lie and cheat and steal. The automatic pilot helps me a lot, but it won't land you. You've got to land yourself. And the Mormon church could not land me spiritually. There was no way. There was no way. Now, float your boat, call the missionary, say, hey, I want to join, pay 10%, don't know where my money's going, and pretend I have faith that the golden plates did not go back up into heaven. So I could have faith in Joseph Smith, and I do believe in marrying 14-year-old girls and funny underwear. Joseph didn't make Helen Mar Kimball wear her funny underwear. She wore little panties and a bra, but that was special. for Joseph. So anyway, when you get on a plane, you don't want a general pilot. You want a specific pilot that knows that plane, has landed that plane thousands of times, has done it in snowstorms, has done it in a slick runway, has done it when there's high winds, crosswinds coming across, and being able to put that thing down safely so that you can undo your damn seatbelt and walk away. Well, I'm kind of like the people that were on my plane that opened the damn emergency doors. I said, I'm out of here. I'm resigning. I don't think this plane's going to land, and it hasn't. It hasn't. The longer that plane stays up, it keeps promising the people it's going to land. But, you know, the Mormon Church is now handing out parachutes. You're going to land, but not in this plane. And we don't know where you're going to land because we're just going to throw your ass out of the plane, called excommunication, because you won't trust us. Give us your money. And then bow your head and say yes, and take the crash position, your head between your knees, and have faith. I was out. I was out. You make up your own mind. Thanks.